All right. So thank you so much for being here. I'm very excited because we have, well, of course, I'm one of the living composers represented on the album, but we have another of the living composers represented on the album with us on this call. And we have Tim Bonenfant, who is the arranger of some of these pieces with us on this call. So it's very exciting. We get to delve into this, all of this project and all of this music. But for anyone who doesn't know me, which I think everyone here knows me, but my name is Kim Davenport, and Melanie and I are just so excited to have this album out into the world now. It released yesterday, and I want to talk a little bit about the origins of it and how we put the project together. And we'll share some audio clips, and then be happy to talk about anything that anyone would like to talk about. So let me jump into my slides here. Um, I have a picture here of the first time that Melanie and I met, which is from Clarinet Fest, which is the international event put on by International Clarinet Association every year. And this was the one in Denver, I think in 2023, if I remember that right. And I was there as a vendor for Alia Publishing. We specialize in publishing music for bass clarinet, and went to as many concerts as I could. And I went to this concert because of the gentleman you see in the middle of this picture, Rocco Parisi, who's an Italian bass clarinetist who I had known for years just online, and I had never heard him play in person. So I went to this concert, and I was completely overwhelmed while sitting in the audience by the sound and musicality and approach of Melanie's bass clarinet playing. I didn't know who she was. I didn't attend the concert to hear her. I went to hear Rocco. But I was just blown away um, by the similarity and reminiscence of her approach to the instrument to that of my father, who had died just a few years before. And we were collaborators for many, many years, playing bass clarinet and piano. So I formed the idea at that moment that if she were willing, that I wanted us to work together and I wanted us to play together. So that's why I wanted to share this particular picture of that first moment that we came in contact with each other. But just a little bit of background for anyone here who doesn't know about this background. My father and I founded Alia Publishing and Recording in 1997. So we're coming up almost on 30 years now, with the goal of essentially sharing our love for the bass clarinet and helping raise awareness about the bass clarinet as this beautiful and powerful solo instrument. And the goal was to publish a combination of accessible pedagogical material for students of the instrument, and then also to publish new works by a diverse range of composers. And I have kept that going ever since, and very proud of the work that Alia has done to celebrate this wonderful instrument. And this album is many things, but it definitely is a continuation of that work to celebrate the bass clarinet. So when we kept talking over the next few years about what might this project be if we could find the time to record an album, Melanie was really the one who had the idea to focus on music by women composers, and that representation of potentially underrepresented composers, especially those from the past. And we looked at the Alia catalog and noticed that there were many, many pieces by women composers, transcriptions from past eras and new works that had not been recorded or had not had a studio recording. And so decided that that was a really worthy project. And so that's how that came about. I'll talk a little bit more about the individual pieces as we get into some audio samples, but it's a really diverse range of music. It covers centuries, and it covers the globe in terms of composers from different places who bring different voices to the instrument. And it was an excuse for me to write a piece as a relatively new composer, as someone who has been late in life to finding my own compositional voice. The idea of writing something for Melanie and I to play was a very special opportunity. So, and I'm forever grateful for her support of that process and her contributions to the piece and making it better in our rehearsals. And that piece is now also in our catalog. Melanie, is there anything you wanted to add before we start going into listening to some music?
Oh, it was I aim with this album to make the repertoire discovered. Not even myself, not even anyone. It's just to bring up the repertoire for bass clarinet. This
Mhm.
is what I aim with my bass clarinet association as well. So, and I'm so grateful, Kim and Laurie. Thank you for your support and thank you for what you do for the repertoire and the instrument. It's so precious. So that's what I aim, and it was a great pleasure to work with Kim and Laurie. And yeah, cannot be more grateful than that. So yeah, I'm looking forward for the second album.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, yeah.
So in this picture, you can see Melanie sitting in this very studio where I'm sitting now. This is where it all happens. This is also the space that I share with my mom and her artwork. And she, of course, created the beautiful album cover for this work. So um, we will all applaud her since she is on this call for that beautiful artwork, and just the wonderful collaboration we have to always be making art and music together in the same space. It's incredibly inspiring. So without further ado, let's jump in and start listening to some of this music and thinking about sort of how the album came together. Um, I think really, so I sent a huge list of pieces to Melanie. These are all the pieces in our catalog by women composers that aren't yet recorded, or at least don't yet have a studio recording. And it was far too much for an album. It was maybe 20 or 30 pieces. Um, and so we really just ended up choosing our favorites. And what's interesting to me is that even though they were just our personal favorites, a theme emerged, and it is revealed in the title of the album. But the theme only sort of came clear to me after really sitting with the album and thinking about it for a while, and talking to my colleague who wrote the program notes as well. So let me kind of take us through that story here. Um, this is not the order in which the pieces appear on the album, but this is the order in which I decided to share them today. I want to start with a piece by the Czech composer Ivana Loudová, because it takes us back to the beginning of the bass clarinet being taken seriously as a solo instrument and not simply an orchestral instrument. The first bass clarinetist to play a full-length recital for bass clarinet and piano was the Czech bass clarinetist Josef Horak, and he played that recital with his wife, who is his lifetime pianist playing companion. And Ludova, being a Czech composer of that same generation, she was a bit, I guess, a bit younger, a bit older. I'm losing track of that, but basically, they were contemporaries. She wrote a lot of pieces for their duo, and a lot of Czech composers actually were among the first to write music for bass clarinet and piano. This piece actually is from later in their collaboration, 1993, and it's meant to capture that duo's journey as a duo, developing their repertoire on bass clarinet and piano. And so the piece really takes you on a journey. It's very episodic. It's quite long, and it goes through many different musical ideas. And this was probably in a way the most challenging for me on the album, because she asks the pianist to play many different percussion instruments in addition to playing the piano. And so that was an adventure. We needed multiple takes to get some of those things right as a novice percussionist that I am. But I really think it's wonderful that a piece by Ludova appears on this album, because she wrote several wonderful pieces for that important early duo on the instrument. So let's just take in a clip. I just have short clips from each of these pieces. If I can click in the right place. All right. You'll hear enough piano for this on this call. I figured I would just go with one of those percussion moments. Yeah, it's a really unique piece, and it was actually recorded by the Czech duo that I mentioned earlier, but it's a recording that's long since out of print, and so it's very nice to be able to share it with a new audience coming into the 21st century. Um, so the next oldest new piece on the recording is a piece called Inori by Akiko Ogawa, who is actually with us on the call. And so Akiko, if you'd like to say anything about your work, I'd love to invite you to do so.
Oh, hello. Nice to finally meet you, Kim,
Yes, I know. Thank you.
and everybody. And thank you, Melanie, for the beautiful performance. My piece is Koinori, which means prayer in Japanese. I composed this when Japan tsunami in 2011 shocked us all, and it was still very raw at the time when I wrote it. So it's quite a long time ago, so I'm a bit rusty with the knowledge of the piece, but I performed it with my clarinetist friend in London. Um, there are slow and fast sections, and they alternate, creating like a flashback effect. And I think the nature is so beautiful yet ruthless, so I wanted to portray that. And slow sections are resonant and still, and fast sections depict the brutality of the nature. I used the bass clarinet at the beginning and ended the piece with the clarinet in B flat because I wanted it to be dark at the beginning and lighter towards the end. That's it.
All right, thank you. It's a stunning piece, and
Oh, thank you.
it is amazing. It was interesting to go through the recording process because, of course, you're focused on playing the right notes and all of that.
Yeah, well done
But
you for learning all the notes. I'm so amazed.
but it is
I've seen this, so
the
yeah.
emotional power of it is
Mm.
very present. And I know, I mean, Melanie and I both felt that the depth, especially of the slower sections, is profound as you're playing it. And I can only
Oh, thank
capture
you.
a little bit of that in this clip that I'm going to share here, but obviously I encourage everyone to listen to the full piece. But yeah, let's listen.
Oh, thank you, Kate.
So honestly, both of these clips just barely scratch the surface of the wonderful, the wonderful expression in both of these pieces. I really encourage everyone to listen to this in its entirety. Um, I'm so excited about the each of these pieces stands on its own as a wonderful artistic creation, and they all have this theme of memory, which again it was not obvious to me when we started the project. But you know, Loudova's piece is looking back at her relationship with this duo that she's written music for. Clearly, this piece is referencing a memory of a specific event. And our next piece that I'm going to talk about is similar in that looking back. And Mónica is playing a concert tonight in Germany right now. Otherwise, she would be with us too. But she is a Peruvian Spanish composer who now resides in Germany, and she's a very active pianist, playing playing a lot and writing a lot for clarinet and bass clarinet, which is wonderful. I'm about to add more of her pieces to our catalog soon. But this piece is a three-movement, essentially a sonata, really, speaking back on her memories of growing up in Spain, and just filled with rhythms and dances and beautiful reference in the second movement to the subway bombings in Madrid that she remembers very distinctly. She was there when those took place. So just a stunning piece. I really love this one. And I believe I picked a sample from the third movement. I think that's what we're going to be hearing here. All right, so many moments in that piece that I love. All right, that brings us to our last original new work on the album. The rest of the album is transcriptions. And this brings us to the piece that I wrote in honor of Mélanie coming to visit for our recording sessions. And I'll let her speak to it as well. But just to give a little bit of the story behind this piece, its title is the title that Mélanie blessed it with in French. I originally called it Song Remembered, and that's because it's based on an improvisation that my dad did when I was very young, which was just an improvisation and would have just disappeared into the ether, but my mom decided to write it down and transcribe it, and she put the title at the top of the page, Song. And I grew up with this as a piece of sheet music that lived in our musical household, and one that I liked to play for myself on the piano. And it just was so rich with ideas. And I always wished that my dad would have done more with it as a composer himself, but he never did. And so this felt like the perfect opportunity for me to kind of take that initial idea and expand on it. So essentially the piece really is a set of theme and variations on that initial melody. I would say it was 90% finished when Mélanie arrived, and then she made some really important decisions and contributions about range and how to handle especially the section in the piece, which is what I'm going to share with us here, which is somewhat improvisatory with multiphonics, which is also definitely a reference to my dad, who loved playing around with multiphonics on the instrument. So why don't I play this sample, and then Mélanie, I'll let you talk about it as well. But this is my favorite section because it brings the absolutely stunning multiphonics that Mélanie added to that section of the piece. we did have trouble in the recording sessions not being brought to tears in the middle of a recording. That was challenging. It's a very meaningful piece, I think, to me, obviously, and I was very touched with the meaning that Melanie found in it as well. So I don't know if you want to add anything, Melanie.
Thank you, Kim. I figure for me it was like a healing song, really healing. So that's the way I went through it, and that's the way I played it, and it heals myself. But I figure out every time I send it to someone, they cry. It's really touching, or yeah, so it's really a special thing. That's why I want you to compose more. Yeah, it's good. It's good to have that power, to make healing into music. So that's the way I see it. So it's really special, Kim. It's really special. And knowing the story behind too. But when I don't say the story behind, it's still good. It's still moving to people. I don't know the way you heard it. Anybody has a comment about that? But it's surprising. It does that to a lot of people. Yeah. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you.
That's all. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, so we've explored these pieces, 21st century brand new compositions. We rounded out the album with some wonderful transcriptions, and since Tim is with us on the call, Tim, do you want to say anything about your current project that we're working on to get more and more transcriptions of music by women composers for clarinet?
The first piece that I actually showed Kim was actually the Nadia Boulanger pieces that are also on the album. Yeah. And I had already sort of done the arrangement just for my own purpose. And I think it was ICA in Dublin in last year, where I mentioned to Kim that I had done this, and she was very eager to get that as part of the Alia catalog. After just taking a cursory glance at it, she just said, "Yeah, I want that." And so even before we left Dublin, I came up with a list of other cello pieces, and these are primarily cello pieces I've been working on that I thought might work fairly well for bass clarinet and piano. The Farrenc that you've got queued up first was maybe about the third or fourth piece that I worked on in the past year or so. And that one actually, I thought, fit the bass clarinet very well. It almost exclusively a single line melody throughout. There were no double stops at all in this particular piece, which made the adaptation very easy. There were also no pizzicato notes, so it was all about just long flowing melodies, and I really loved the way that worked on bass clarinet. I performed it earlier this year on a recital where I teach, and I also had a student work on the first movement, and he enjoyed it quite a bit. So what section are you going to play of the Farrenc here?
I believe it's from the first movement.
Okay.
I think. I think I remember that correctly. So yeah, let's listen and see what I picked here. Beginning of the piece.
Yes.
Yeah, to me, it's a good example of if only the bass clarinet had existed a bit earlier in a form that composers could play with. I think she easily could have written that piece for bass clarinet. It fits so well.
It does. It was really astounding how easily that adaptation took place.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
then the other piece you've got here, the Nadia Boulanger, I had to do some alteration of keys for this one, or else some of the last movement, Melanie, you'd been playing an F sharp major way up in the stratosphere, and I didn't want to do that for myself, so I couldn't see doing that to anybody else. I took the whole piece basically down a half step, which was primarily for the third piece, and the structure of this piece is a little unusual, in that the first two movements are fairly slow, and then the last one really takes off quite a bit. I had heard a recording of the original cello version on YouTube, and I just really love the piece. And with Nadia, we know so much about her teaching career, and we don't really know all that much of her music, partially because she decided not to really pursue that end of her work as she got older. But this is really a set of three very beautiful pieces, and I'm sort of excited to see how this comes across, because I haven't played this one myself yet, so I'm excited to hear this.
Yeah, and I think this again is from the first movement, or the first piece, if I remember.
Okay. Yes.
I had to fade that out because her lines are so long. There's nowhere to stop without just playing the whole piece.
Yes. Oh, it's really lovely playing, Melanie.
Thank you for making it possible, Tim. Do more. Do more.
We've already got about, I think it's 7 in the catalog now.
Yeah.
And Mel Bonis's sonata is ready to go. I'm just waiting for Martha to proofread everything, but it's basically done. And I've got 2 out of 3 movements done on another one that's coming up soon. So soon.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I mean, we have so many, my dad and I did so many transcriptions of cello pieces, especially many years ago. We did a lot of that, but it tended to be more, let's just say, well-known composers, composers who are very well represented in publishing catalogs, a lot of the Mozarts and Beethovens, and we did a lot of that. So it's really nice to expand the diversity of representation here. It's very exciting. And there's just some wonderful music that's really not heard enough, even on cello for that matter. And I have one more piece that I'm not going to share an audio teaser. I do want to tell the story behind it. This is, if we were in a different genre, we might call this a bonus track. I have not actually told Melanie this yet. So when we went to, obviously the album is streaming on those platforms, but I always like to produce some physical CDs. And And when I went to do that, we had too much music to fit on a CD. So this really is a bonus track. This is not on the physical CD, but it is online. But we were just having such a great time in the studio. We decided to try to find one more short piece that we could add to the mix. And we found this piece, which was a very simple song by this composer, Sophie Gail, who, from what I understand, primarily was writing sort of light operetta style. And I'm going to leave everyone in suspense, but it's worth checking out what we decided to do with it. So if you listen to the album, this is the last track on the album online. And again, was a few too many minutes to fit on a physical CD, but really kind of a fun last minute addition to the album that we did on our last day of recording. So I have just a couple more slides of a few more things I wanted to say, some thank yous, and then happy to talk about anything anyone would like to talk about. But here's our thank you slide. So Martin is the wonderful audio engineer I've had the pleasure of working with on the last few projects I've done. This is his beautiful Steinway concert grand that resides in my studio. It's been a really wonderful collaboration we've had there. And he did some really painstaking editing on a few of the pieces that we had to piece together in clips, mainly from my weak percussion skills on the Loudová. So I really appreciate his efforts there. And of course, I would like to invite my mom to speak to the painting that she did for our album cover art, since she is with us. So let me invite you to unmute yourself and say anything you'd like to say about the art.
Okay. This is so cool. It's so great to see everybody. It's like going back to Clarinet Fest, only better. It's great. I so appreciate everything everybody did to make this album happen. It was so much fun to have Melanie there. And the idea for the album just for the artwork just popped into my head one day, and it just sat there, and okay, that's what it's going to be. So I did my best to try to include images of Kim and Melanie and the way the instruments interacted together and the music that they make happen. And it's just tried to do something that I wouldn't get tired of looking at, because album covers stay around forever. So it was fun. I really enjoyed it. And I think it came out looking really good on the physical CD. If anybody wants to get one there, they look beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's stunning. And I might grab it. It's sitting over on her shelf of art because it started its life as a painting. And then we, took a digital image of it and brought that into the design. My wonderful colleague, Gwyn Brown, who is at a conference, otherwise she would be able to be with us today. She is a musicologist who does really important work. Her most recent project that was very significant was her new critical edition published by Schirmer of William Dawson's Negro Folk Symphony, and also a biography of Dawson. But she was kind enough to come sit in on some of our recording sessions, since she's here in Tacoma with me, and got to meet Melanie and listen to some of the music live during the sessions, and then really sat with the album and put together some beautiful notes that we're still editing, and I will publish as soon as they're done being edited. But I really appreciate her time on that. And Tim, I really appreciate your efforts to not just come up with a couple of transcriptions, but to really keep them coming and just keep adding to the repertoire. Thank you. It really means a lot. And I have to put these next two thank yous here. I threw out these same thank yous when I was celebrating the album I recorded earlier with Sarah Watts. But really none of these collaborations would have taken place, given that we all live in different countries, without the work of the ICA to bring together clarinetists from all over the world and create the kind of spaces where people have the kind of conversations that we had that led to thinking, yes, I will fly around the world to make a recording with you. Would not have happened without that. And especially to Stephanie, who isn't here, but I will make a point of thanking her anyway. Stephanie Gardner hosted the first two low clarinet festivals. And that really specifically brought together the bass clarinet community from all over the world. It was our chance to meet people that we'd worked with, but never met in person, and start these collaborations. So it's really important work that they all are doing. Okay, here's the last slide. So for anyone who is a bass clarinetist and wants to purchase sheet music, Alia publishes all the sheet music for all of these pieces. And I have a discount code for the rest of November, kind of to celebrate this album. So Melanie, please feel free to share this with anyone you'd like to share this with. Doesn't have to be just for purchasing that music. I just really kind of want to celebrate what we've accomplished here and get more music out into the world. If you would like to buy the album either physically as a CD or digitally, these are the links to do that. But it is, of course, also streaming on all the platforms now, which is great. And my last slide. And does anybody have any questions or anything that you'd like to talk about? And I think we're a small enough group that anyone can just jump in if they'd like to say something.
I'll say something. As sort of a amateur and somewhat inexperienced classical music enjoyer, I just really appreciate that there are people doing this work. I've sort of inadvertently discovered some of the composers on this list over the last couple of years of exploring underrepresented composers. And so I think it's really, really important work, and I'm glad that it exists. So thank you. It's beautiful. Well done. And yeah, do more. It's great.
Thank you, Dustin. All right, anyone else? Okay, thank you so much for coming. This is really, really fun. It's always such a strange experience to record an album and then wait the months that it takes for editing and production and all of that. To have it actually out into the world is very exciting for it to actually be out in the world. So I really appreciate you celebrating that with us. Thank you, Melanie.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Laurie. You do such a nice work. And thank you for everybody for coming. The lancement, it's really good to see everybody. It's really a pleasure. Yeah. Hopefully you like it. And if you have any comments, please send them to me, to Kim, to Laurie. Yeah. And thank you. Hope to see you in the South Korea convention, maybe.
That's right. Next year, the ICA is in South Korea. I have to decide if we want to make that trip. Maybe is my firm answer at this point. All right. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much.